This video is a snapshot of the border fence in and around Tecate. Otay is where the commercial border crossing is south of San Diego. Between Otay and Tecate, there is about 16 miles of bollard fence. It's 30 feet high when it borders Tijuana and 18 feet high in the foothills as you go towards Tecate. To the east, there is mostly landing plate fence for 6 miles between Tecate and the small border town of Campo. And all of this fence is topped now with concertina wire thanks to the military. When politicos do photo ops, you usually see the very best part of the fence. I want to show the reality of some of the worst places and hope to make updates and show improvement when new fence is built. This view is from the east looking towards the center of Tecate. Within the city limits, it's almost all old landing plate with concertina wire on top. The Army has put up hundreds of miles of concertina wire just within the last few months. This is one of several places where illegals and fake refugees have been crossing. They use old clothes to protect themselves from the concertina wire as they crawl over or under it. The wire has been cut in many places in Tecate. It's easy to cut, and the smugglers cut it every day. The concertina wire is just a stopgap measure for this kind of fence, which is very easy to climb over. It was originally meant just to stop vehicles. The smugglers have also tunneled under the fence in this location, and the hole has been filled with rocks. This seems to be one of their favorite places to cross. If you look towards the east from the same spot, you see a steep hill. On this hill, the fence is 18-foot high bollard fence. In earlier years before Trump, starting in the 1990s, there was already roughly 300 miles of landing plate and 300 miles of bollard fence installed along the border. The bollard fence is a lot better and is designed to stop most pedestrians. Even though the fence was very imperfect, it still made a huge difference. Last time I was here in July of 2018, there was a gap in the fence on the other side of this hill. We are going now to the other side to see what happened since that time. This is what it looked like last year on the other side of the hill and on the Mexican side of the border. You can see the bollard fence coming down the hill, but below in this ravine there is no fence. You can't see it very well in this photo, but there is some, as they call it, Normandy-style vehicle barrier in the background along the road. But anyone can step over that or crawl under it. This is the same area in May of 2019. A landing plate fence with concertina wire was installed just a couple of months earlier as a temporary fix for this gap until a new fence can be built. This is a close-up of the fence in the ravine. You can see the Normandy vehicle barrier in the background, which was all there was last year. This gap was just about 150 yards wide in this area before they closed it. Even a landing plate fence with concertina is a lot better than no fence at all. Mexicans like to decorate the fence with artwork, as with this rattlesnake mural. Here there was more evidence of wire being cut off the fence and illegal crossing. A couple hundred yards up the hill, the fence turns into bollard fence with anti-climb plate and concertina on top. This fence is a lot harder to get over or under. It runs over the hill towards Campo to the east for a short distance and then turns back into landing plate fence. There are some large gaps where there is no fence at all between this area and Campo, 6 or 7 miles away, usually in places where the terrain is very rough and rocky. Now we're back on the American side looking west. The rolls of concertina wire on the ground are there for repair of the places the smugglers cut. It's a lot of wire and gives you an idea how often they are cutting it. It's much easier for the smugglers to cut down than it is for the Border Patrol to repair. One benefit of the wire is that the Border Patrol can see where they're crossing because the wire has been cut or bent. Behind the fence, a line of trees has been planted. Often these trees are used by illegals to jump over the fence more easily. Here's a utility pole with climbing spikes on it, conveniently located so that it aids in illegally jumping across the border. It was trivial to cross here before the concertina wire was there, but it's no problem to cut the wire either. One reason for these videos is to show people how easy it is to cross the current fence and why a better fence is needed, if anyone is still in doubt. The way it is now, it's very frustrating and demoralizing for the Border Patrol agents who have to deal with this every day. This is the Tecate brewery, where I had hoped to have beer and tacos for lunch, but their beer garden appeared to be shut indefinitely, probably due to drug violence. Now we're back on the Mexican side, where it's easier to get a view of the fence running towards Otay to the west. Outside of town, the fence turns into 18-foot-high bollard again and runs all the way to Otay, about 16 miles over the foothills, with maybe a couple small gaps in rough terrain. I believe this part of the fence predates Trump also. Reportedly, a new bollard fence is scheduled to be built soon in Tecate to replace the current old landing plate extending on to Campo and beyond. The part in Tecate will be 30 feet high. Outside of town it will be 18 feet. They already have the money for this, which was appropriated when Obama was still president for infrastructure, not specifically for fence. There are different categories of federal funds which must be spent in 1, 2, or 5 years depending on the purpose. So apparently the funds the San Diego sector has for infrastructure are good for 5 years, and they still have some left over from Obama days. We may have to call this part the Obama wall, but we don't really care where the money comes from, and that just means maybe there's a little more money for building fence than we thought.